Govindaram Satatam Namami. Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachia Dile Kakola Kahe Premananda Emona Goranga Ridoya Dariya Bola Bhaja Goranga Kaha Goranga Laha Gorangira Namare Jai Jana Goranga Bhaje Se Hoyamara Pranare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya Prema Bhidana Parama Pumata Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavir Api Gopalan Srikuryat Kripaya Judi Tadaiva Sambhaya Pidva Rishi Yustat Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunatha Brajabala Bapahimam Vancha Kalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's going to be 40 minutes. You have to stop. Okay, so reading from Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's prayers to Narottam. Shri Krishna Nama Amrita Barshi Vaktra Chandra Prabhadvasta Tamo Baraya Gauranga Deva Anucharaya Namo Namo Srila Narottamaya. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He is indeed a true follower of Lord Gauranga Dev. The nectarian shower of the holy name radiating from the moon of his mouth destroys the darkness of ignorance. So in our previous session in Hungary, we were reading from the 7th section. Depending on how you break it up, it was the 81st verse in this section called Ekantika Bhakta Ritti, the characteristics of a Kantika Bhakta, one-pointed devotee. And Narottam Das Thakur gave some analogies, just like a Jalavinu Jena Mina, just like a fish out of water, Dukapaya Ayahina, it gets distressed, dies, Prema Vinu Se Mata Bhakta. So in the same way, a devotee feels so distressed if he doesn't have Krishna Prema. Chakata Dala Jala Dagati E Mata Ekanta Rati Jani Jay Se Anurakta. So he gives another analogy, just like a chataka bird only drinks rainwater. In the same way, those ekantic bhaktas, they only relish Krishna Prema. So in that connection, we'll look back actually in a moment, but let's go on to our next verse, today's verse. And Narottam says, Maranda Brahmara Jena Chakura Chandrika Tena Pati Brata Janira Jena Pati Anyata Nachaleman Jena Dadidiradan E mata prema bhakti riti. Just as a bumblebee is attached to honey, a chakora bird is attached to the nectar of the moon, a chaste wife is attached to her husband, and a poor man is attached to wealth. Similarly, the minds of devotees are attached to the loving service of Radha and Krishna. So this discussion today, A Mata Prema Bhakti Riti, he's speaking about the characteristics of Prema and how these devotees are so one-pointed. In the last session, we heard something about being one-pointed for Prema. And in this session, we're going to hear something about how being one-pointed to the loving service of Radha and Krishna is such an unlimited subject. I have a few thoughts for today, but it's so unlimited. I don't know how far we're going to go. In our last session, just looking back a little bit about that, we were speaking about exclusivity from the Hari Bhakti Vilas in the 10th Vilas, where it describes Ekantika Chaturda, that there's 4 types of exclusivity. I'm just kind of reviewing now. Dharmana Dharanina, Dharmana Adharina, someone who's not interested in Varnashram Dharma. That's the first. Anyasarva Nirapekshata, someone who's completely indifferent to anything, fruitive activities, philosophical, Mayavad speculation. Vigna kulat vepi manorati parata. How the third type of exclusivity is that one doesn't lose their focus on bhakti, on rati, even when obstacles arise. And Rupa Goswami describes in Ujjwala Nilamani that this is a characteristic of prema, that even when there's every reason for the love to be broken, it doesn't. And the fourth type of exclusivity is premaika rasata, that the one's just completely absorbed in the rasa of prema. And the Hari Bhakti Vilas gave some different examples. I'm not going to go there today. I'll put this on the board though. Srila Prabhupada was, yeah, it doesn't go live to YouTube because I think I didn't sign in or something, Leela Purushottam, but it's nothing you guys, it's my fault. I was so busy with the program and I'm not very good with these things. I'm sorry.
Well, just concerned if it's not mistakes. So if it's,
thank you for
if you know
checking.
about it. So.
I tried it and then I went to the account and it says I've got 40 minutes. So that'll be about 4:40 my time, 3:40 your time. So I'm watching it carefully. The beautiful quote from Srila Prabhupada. He said, we are making little or teeny effort how to make people happy. Our only business is to make people happy. We have no other desire. We don't say that you give us some money in exchange of your Krishna consciousness. No, that's not our business. We're not merchants. We're spreading this Krishna consciousness free of charge. We are engaged servant of Krishna. Krishna will provide for us. Krishna will provide. So previously we read a number of statements like this during the Padayatra when we were there in Hungary recently. We read a number of statements like this from Srila Prabhupada, where he also says things like, we don't want your money. We don't care if you become a member. We don't care if you change your religion. We just want to see people take Krishna consciousness. So this is being one-pointed. We're not concerned about this thing or that thing. We just want to see people Krishna conscious, and that's our one-pointed focus. So I want to speak something about this one-pointed focus toward Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan today from a number of different places. These are things Leela Purushottam Prabhu knows about, but I have a feeling you might like these today, Leela Purushottam Prabhu. We're not going to speak about Varnashram today. If anybody's disappointed, I beg apology. Instead, I'd like to speak to you from the book of a madman, a notebook, from someone named Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur from his Vrindavan Mahamamrita. And he speaks about his one-pointed focus. And his one-pointed focus is, it's insane. Brindaranyevaram Shakrimirapi Paramona Chidananda Deho Rango Pishamatuya Paramihana Paratra Bhutananta Bhuti Shunyo Pishamihashi Hari Bhajana Lena Vati Tuchata Matre Lubda Nyanyat Gopi Jana Ramana Padambuja Dikshasuke Pi. He says that I just want this one varam. One of the names of the Lord is Varada. He's the best of the givers of benediction. So I want this benediction, that Vrindaranya, I want to just be in Vrindavan. He says, even if I have to be there as a krimi, how do they translate krimi here? They translate as an insect. Krimi sometimes is translated as a worm and stool. I'll be a worm and stool in Vrindavan. That's better than Api Padamo Nachidananda Deho, to have an eternal body in the spiritual world. Krishna Kun's not convinced. I would rather reside in Vrindavan, even as an insect, as a worm and stool, than to reside in any other place as a liberated soul with a blissful spiritual body. I would rather reside here in Vrindavan, even as a poverty-stricken beggar, than to reside in any other place as a person possessing wonderful, endless wealth. I would rather reside here in Vrindavan, even as a person completely devoid of the slightest trace of devotion to Lord Hari. Even if I have no bhakti, I'd rather be in Vrindavan than to reside in some other place, having the feeling, Lubdo nanyata gopi jana ramana padamboja diksha suke pi, than to have the bhav of the gopis. But I'm not in Vrindavan. I'd rather have no bhakti, be an insect in Vrindavan, than to have gopi bhav or a liberated body in the spiritual world and not be in Vrindavan. This is the madness of our saints. So now I'd like to look something here. Prabodhananda Saraswati, in his madness, he's mentioning that I'd rather be in Vrindavan than, what is it here? Adbhuta, Paratra Bhutananta Bhutihi. Bhuti means opulence. So I'd rather be in Vrindavan than to be anywhere else that even has Adbhuta Ananta Bhuti, unlimited, astonishing opulence. So what do we think about when we hear that? We think of Lakshmi Devi. And there's many beautiful discussions about this point, very fascinating philosophical point, how Lakshmi Devi can't enter the Ras Leela. She's there to this day in Braj, in, what is it? On the other side of the Jamuna, in Bilvavan, as I recall. There's a deity of Lakshmi Devi there. And every year during the month of Magh, if I recall correctly, on every Thursday, which is a day for Lakshmi Devi, the residents of Vrindavan, they have a fair, they have a program, they go there and they do worship. But their worship is very paradoxical. They're not offering lamps to Lakshmi Devi and offering prayers. They're going there to give their ashirvad, their blessings to Lakshmi Devi. We know you're having a hard time. You really want to enter into Vrindavan, but you can't do it. You're stuck over here in Bilvavan. So how is it that Lakshmi Devi, she can't enter the Ras Leela, but we hear in the Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 87, text 23, that the personified Vedas and the sages could. But Lakshmi Devi, she's married to Lord Vishnu. That's not very fair, we may think. So there's a beautiful, let's look at this verse, which is also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nibritta marun manokshadidad yoga yujjo hridiyan munaya upasate tadarayo priyayu smaranat Striya ura gendra bhogabuja danda vishakta diyo vayam apite samasamadrisho nirgisaroja sudan. This is Prabhupada's translation. Great sages conquer the mind and senses by practicing the mystic yoga system and controlling the breath. Thus, engaging in mystic yoga, they see the supersouls in their hearts and ultimately enter into impersonal Brahman. But even the enemies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead attain that position simply by thinking of the Supreme Lord. However, the damsels of Braj, the gopis, being attracted by the beauty of Krishna, simply want to embrace him in his arms, which are like serpents. Thus, the gopis ultimately tasted the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, we, the Upanishads, can also taste the nectar of his lotus feet by following in the footsteps of the gopis. So there's very long commentaries on this, both from Srila Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the Sarita Darshani. I want to mostly look at Vishwanath's commentary explaining this verse, and he says that the purpose of the Upanishads is they wanted to speak about and establish the supreme position of bhakti, which is directed only to Krishna, which is exactly what Narottam Das Thakur is speaking about in today's verse, and the super excellence of Krishna's form amongst all the other forms of the Lord. And so the Shrutis, they start off by criticizing their followers, basically, the persons who are following Gyan Yoga, who having impersonal Brahman as its goal. And so the Shrutis, Vishwanath explains that they attain Brahman by that. And that's not a big deal, because even demons like Kansa and others, although they saw Krishna briefly, they got that perfection of merging with it. So what's the point of it? And so the personified Vedas in this verse, they're relating how they want to taste the mellows of Krishna Prema that are relished by Krishna's gopis of Braj. And then Krishna, he asks him, so how are you going to do that? And Vishwanath says that the Shrutis, the Vedas, they say that with undivided attention, samadrisha, we're going to faithfully follow the footsteps of the gopis of Braj. Now, this is the difference between Lakshmi Devi and these rishis and the Shrutis. Lakshmi Devi had some abhiman. She had some attachment. As one sadhu once put it, that Lakshmi Devi, she's a big queen. She's the queen of Vaikuntha. And now she's going to come to Braj, and she'd like to be in the Raslila, and Krishna's so very beautiful. But I have to make cow patties. I have to take cow poop and make patties at it and wash dishes and milk the cows and things. I can't do that. I'm a queen. She has that abhiman, that kind of upadi. So it's very hard for her. Now, Vishwanath, in his commentary, he gives a beautiful story, which is a conversation between Lord Brahma and the personified Vedas from the Brihad Vamana Purana. And on one occasion, Chiram Stutva Tatastushta Paroksham Brahatan Gira Tushto Shmi Bhuta Bo Pragya Vadamyam Manasepsitam. Once the Vedas, they came and they worshiped the Lord, and the Lord was very satisfied. Chiram Stutva Tatastushta. Tushta means satisfied. You're satisfied. This is very nice. So Tushto Bo Pragya. I'm satisfied with you. Now, is that Mongol? Mongol, you got to turn off your microphone, Prabhu. Everybody hears you. Okay, so He says, Varam yam manasepsitam. This is the same word we were mentioning earlier, varam, that this benediction. So what do you want? Tell me whatever manasepsitam means, very secret benediction, because it's mana, it's in your mind, and you're not showing it to everyone. And the Shrutis kind of looked at each other, and then they blurted it out. Yatata lokavasin ya kama tatvena gopikaha bhajanti ramanam matva chikirsa jani nastata. That we want to be like the Braj gopis. Kama tatvena gopika. Who, what is the tattva? We follow Shastra tattva, but the gopis, they follow Kama tattva. the tattva of lust for Krishna, lust which is only for Krishna's pleasure. It's not for their own physical pleasure. And Krishna then kind of rubs his head for a moment and he says, Durlabo durgatas chaiva, yusmakam sammanorataha, mayan umodita samyak satyo bhavitum arhati. He says, this is a very difficult desire to fulfill. Practically, it's impossible. But because I told you that you can have whatever benediction you want, then samyak satyo bhavitam arhati. Satya means the truth. It must come true. Agamani virincho tu jate shrishjartam udite kalpam saraswatam prapya brajje gopyo bhavishyata. When the next Brahma comes, Virinchi means Brahma, it's another name from Agamani Virincho tu. When the next Brahma comes to do his work of Srishti, creating things, and then Kolpam Sarasvatam Prapya, when his day, known as the Sarasvat Kolpa, arrives, then at that time, okay, I guess got to notice we got 10 minutes, I'm just going to stop. You'll all appear, Braje Gopyo Bhavishyata, you'll all appear in Braj as gopis. Pritibhyam Bharate Chetre Mature Mamamandale Vrindavane Bhavishyami Prayanvo Rasa Mandale. There on earth in the land of Bharatvarsh, in Mathura, Mama Mandale, my own district of Mathura, Vrindavane Bhavishyam, in the forest of Vrindavan. Bhavishyami, I'll become Prayanvo Rasa Mandale. I'll become your beloved in the Rasa Mandala, the circle of the Rasa Lila. Jadadamena Susneham, Sudridam Sarvatodikam, Mai Samprapya Sarve Pi Kritya Kritya Bhavishyata. So when you get me as your paramour, your beloved, then you'll get, at that time, you're going to get the topmost prema, the topmost love for me. In this way, you'll fulfill all your ambitions. And so Lord Brahma telling the story, he says that after they heard these words and the Shrutis, they meditated on the Lord's form for a long time. And when the designated time arrived, they became gopis and they got association with the Lord. So again, the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad describes, supports this topic, Atmava Are Drastavya Shrotavyo Mantavyo Nididhyasitavyaha. That one should see the Lord, and we have this both in terms of the gopis. They want to just see Krishna because they want to serve him like that in their siddha deha, and also for sadhaks who are practicing sadhana. We want to see the Lord, so every day we go, and we like to go at the most merciful time, which is Mangalartik, which according to Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami and Govinda Lilamrita, is when Radha and Krishna are laying in their bed and toying with each other. And there's no lights. And the gopis even, they're not exactly welcome. So the manjaris, they go and they light some lamps. They don't turn on the bright lights or anything. They light some lamps and they see the Lord in that time, because Krishna's very merciful at that time and such an intimate darshan. So one must see the Lord, hear about him. This is Prabhupada's program also every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We hear Krishna Katha, we should think about him. And Shrotavyo Mantavyo Nididhyasitavya, we should meditate on him with fixed concentration. So, and Vishwanath comments in this regard that by regularly chanting the mantra we've gotten from our Gurudev as japa, while carefully thinking about its meaning, one should cultivate the desire to see our worshipable Lord. This is the purport of this verse. This is our one-pointed nature. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, now let's have a few looks in some different places from our acharyas, speaking about some similar subjects. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Ramananda Samvad, which Lila Purushottam Prabhu, when we first went to Czech, asked me to speak about, yeah, Prabhu, can you speak about the entire Ramananda Samvad in 5 days? Maybe 5 lifetimes, not possible in 5 lifetimes. Anyway, so in Madhya Lila chapter 8, Ramananda Samvad, Ramananda Roy tells Mahaprabhu, Vidi Marge na paye, Braje Krishna Chandra, that you cannot attain Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan just by performing Vidi Marg or Vaidhi Bhakti. That's a very heavy thing to say. Now let's look at a few points. We're speaking about being a kantik. And a kantik, excuse me? That is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila chapter 8, text 226. Tattoo it on your arm. And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur comments in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Tataiva kirtanadi kam api archanadava pi mudranyasadi dwarka dhyanadi rukminyadi pujadi kamapi nija bhava pratiku lyad agamadi shastra vihitam api na kuryad iti. That according to Archana, Tataiva Kirtanadikam Api Archanadav, it's described Kirtanadikam that in Archana, one should do mudras, one should perform nyasa. You perform nyasa, you put mantras on your body. You should meditate on Dwarka Dhyanadi. You should meditate, very important, Rukminyadi. You should meditate on Rukmini and the queens of Dwarka. But Vishwanath says, he said, although these things are said in Shastra, for devotees who are aspiring for this one-pointed ekantic nature, which Vishwanath is speaking about, of Raganuga Bhakti, they're bhava pratikuliyad. They're unfavorable to this method. We got a few more minutes. Now looking at text 12, again in Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's writings. This is from his book, Ragvartma Candrika. Very startling things that he says. These are rather private things. These are not things you speak about in the Sunday feast. Tani charchana bhaktav ahangopasanana mudanyasa dwaraka dhyana ruknanyadi pujanid yagama shastra vihitani api naiva karyani. The Agama Shastras recommend that someone should perform bhakti during archana. They should use mudras. They should perform nyasa. These things we were just speaking about exactly as in his commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says, but these things Raganuga sadhaks should not do. Yad uktam, and he gives some pramana. Yad astaya naro rajan na pramadita kari chit. He says that if they're on the path of bhakti, there's some fault, then Shastra says that someone who takes shelter of the path of bhakti, he's never in danger. Even if he runs over the path with his eyes closed, he won't trip or fall. It's a similar statement in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. But Vishwanath says that if someone becomes greedy and they think so, this is not appropriate, I have to meditate on Dwarka, I have to do these mudras and follow Shastra and this and that, then the result of that will be that they'll become a queen in Dwarka. Ramamsam shustu kurvanyo vidi margena sevate kavalinaiva satada mahisitvam iyatpure. This is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Rupa Goswami says that Ramsam shustu kurvanyo, that someone who's doing vidi margena sevate, serving on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, but they have some desire for a conjugal relationship with the Lord. But if they're doing that without a desire to follow the gopis, then after some time, they become a queen in Dwarka. Okay, so I don't know what happens. I'm gonna cancel the session. I guess I do know what happens. I'm gonna cancel the session now because we're supposed to go offline in 1 minute. And then I'm gonna come right back on and we'll have part 2. So you're all welcome to come if you want. Even Riseshwar Gopal Prabhu. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end it right now. Please forgive me. Hare Krishna.